The Joe Rogan Experience.
It's a lot going on in tennis.
Yeah.
Plus, nobody gives a shit until you're really good. You know, like if you're kind of like, if you have a chance, he plays semi-pro ball for, maybe he'll get into the big leagues. You know, but you don't, if you're like, I'm a semi-pro tennis player, get a fucking job, bitch.
Right.
What are you doing? You're playing tennis?
It takes a long time.
I used to know this dude who was a professional racquetball player, and that was the grindiest of all grinds. Because when I was 19, I recognized, like, oh no, this dude done painted himself into a corner. He's like a world champion. It's something nobody gives a fuck about.
I know, nobody cares.
Dude, nobody cared. And people would, like, treat him like, oh, poor guy. Like, that was part of it. It was like, he's awesome, but poor guy. But
I feel that way when I watch the biathlon and the Olympics and shit, or curling, or any of those sports.
Well, curling is, don't talk shit about curling in Newfoundland. If you go up there in Canada, they get fucking angry at you.
I don't give a fuck.
They get mad.
Also, I don't care that you replayed the curling move in slow motion. I didn't miss it in regular motion. You know, there's just certain sports I don't. I think their skills are not sports.
Like, how do racists deal with the fact that there's so many elite black athletes? What is because a racist look at it, and how do you see white superiority in that many elite black athletes?
I've heard guys in New York, white guys would always say this about I'd hear white dudes in New York talk about black and white athletes like this. They'd be like, well, he's a brother, so obviously he's going to be faster and stronger. But this kid over here has got heart and he's got smarts. And so the white guy apparently got heart, he had brain, whereas the black guy only has muscle. It was a clear indication that it was such a racist kind of way of delineating, you know?
Well, it's also delusional because people want to assume that because someone has physical attributes, they don't have mental attributes. Exactly. They always want to say that. And sometimes it's true because sometimes when you have physical attributes, life is easier for you and you get soft.
Yeah.
You don't have to work as hard.
Yeah.
Like one of the more impressive guys in the UFC for me has always been Frankie Edgar, because that guy's just a product of hard work. He's never been a knockout puncher. He's not the biggest guy. He's always been small for whatever division he's in. And he's small at 55, and he's pretty small at 45 in comparison to some guys like Ortega, we fought this weekend.
Right.
You know, Brian's much bigger than him, taller, longer. He's just all heart and will and toughness, and I love that, and I think that's an admirable thing, and I think you can get a lot out of watching a guy like that. But it doesn't mean that a guy can't have that mindset and also have some fucking Ray Lewis body.
Well, Michael Jordan was the example of that.
Yeah.
Nobody, and Kobe Bryant was the same way.
Nobody works harder. That's why they love to win in an almost psychotic way.
Yeah, extreme winners are that way.
Yeah, that whole thing, that extreme winners, is why we're here, folks. It's why it's so compelling. I mean, you had to have some ungodly resolve to get through the Mongol era and the fucking caveman era, and think about all the different shit that's happened in between. Just think about the people that colonized this country. We were so far removed from people who lived here and rode wagons across the country just 200 years ago. That's nothing. That just happened.
They did this study. Camille Paglia was talking about this. Why were most of the people that revolutionized the human condition male? Like, so in other words, the printing press and Einstein and Copernicus and Galileo and Kepler and, all these people that kind of like, and why so few women? And so a lot of academic circles the only single variable answer is that women were kept down by the patriarchy or whatever it might be. Very condescending, though, if you think about it, because that would suggest that women didn't find their way through the cracks. Some of them did, but for the most part, and there's some truth to that, but for the most part, there's another really interesting theory that men and women tend to have two different kinds of brains. We've evolved to have two different brains because women have to watch out for children and pay attention to the minutiae and keep them away from death. Whereas men have the kind of brain that can obsess over just one thing, even if it doesn't really bear any relation to the material world. So they can think about whether time bends or whether the relationship between time and matter and space, and they'll just zero in on that problem and obsess over that problem. And you have those extreme winners that literally, to the exclusion of everything else, including their family, including other people, focused on just one thing. But in a lot of ways, thank God we have that aberration, because that is what revolutionizes, that is what changes a lot about how we live.
They're little explosions that make this thing move quicker.
Yeah.
They're the combustion inside the engine that is human civilization. Every now and then you get someone that just is an outlier. Some Elon Musk character that's drilling holes under Los Angeles and building fucking power stations for solar power for people's houses.
Yeah.
Making fucking cars and,
And
shooting
everybody
rockets
goes,
into
it's
space.
never going to work. It's never going to work. It's never going to work.
He's like,
until it
shut
does.
up.
Yeah.
He's just so much smarter. We let him drill under the city. We're like, go ahead. You know what you're doing. Everybody just lets him do it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if like a regular person wanted to drill underneath the cities and make tubes and they'd be like, that's the dumbest idea ever. You're going to drop down, a car is going to go on a train, and the train's going to go really fast with the car underground. Shut the fuck